You probably have seen a case where when you divide 2 divided by 9 and use a calculator to divide 9, and then of course you get a number like this, like 0.22222. In fact, you notice this digit 2 recurs almost like forever. So these kind of numbers with the 2 appearing again and again is called a recurring decimal. And in math, we have a way to write these recurring decimals in a short form. Now, the number 0.22222 recurring can be written as a short form as 2 over 9. Or should I say the recurring decimal can be written in short form as 0.2 with a single dot on 2. Now that suggests that the digit 2 is a number recurring. Similarly, if we have a number like 0.7777 recurring, in short form it does mean 0.7 with a single dot on the digit 7, meaning that the digit 7 is recurring. Again, you might have seen a situation where you have decimal like 0.252525. Now obviously you can see 2 digits here is recurring, so in short form you can write this as 0.25 with a single digit, a dot on the first digit and the other digit. This means that the number 25 is recurring. In the same sense, we can also write maybe a recurring decimal like 0.418418 in short form as 0.418 with a single dot on 4, on 1, and 8. Now that suggests that the 3-digit 418 is recurring. Now there's some other situations where you can have a number like 0.9156, 9156, 9156. Now in short form, we can write this as 0.9156 with a single dot on 9 and 6. Now what this means is that all the numbers from 9 to 6, okay, 9156 are recurrent like you see here. So in this video, what we want to do is we want to reverse the short form and write it as a single fraction. So that's what we want to do. And do you know you're ready to see how we get to do them, right? Okay. So here's our very first question. We want to convert the decimal recurring decimal 0.7 recurring. We want to write that into a fraction. Now to get this done, the first thing we say is like let x, now we can use any letter, okay, but for this example, let's say x. Let x be 0.7. In fact, write it in full like a recurring decimal, okay? 7, 7, 7. Of course, it goes on and on. And now, because the digit here is a single digit that's recurring, which is 7, we're going to multiply this first equation with 10. So if we multiply this by 10, we're going to have 10x, and of course multiplies by 10, this becomes 7.777, and then it goes on forever. So what we're going to do, we are going to bring this top equation down, okay? Let's bring it down here. That's x is equals to 0.7777, and then it goes on and on. And then we're going to subtract now. Now, when we subtract along the column here. So when we subtract 10x minus 1x is 9x, and then you have equals. And of course, if you look at subtract, you can find everything here behind the dot. Cancel out 0, and then we left with 7. So 7 equal to 0 is 7. And to get x now, of course, you know you're going to divide both sides by 9. So you get 7 by 9. So in simple terms, 0.7 recurring as a fraction is 7/9. In the second example, we've got to convert 0.8 is a recurring decimal. Okay, we're going to convert it into a fraction. So what we're going to do, we're going to say let x be this 0.8 recurring, but I'm going to write it in full. Okay, it goes in and on. And then we're going to say, you know what? Let's multiply this, the first equation. Let's multiply by 10. And when we do that, we're going to have 10x is equals to 8.8888, and then it goes on and on and on. And then we're going to bring this first equation underneath here. As x is equals to 0.8888, of course recurring. Now you might have noticed that I try to line up my decimal point, because the reason why I do this is because when I'm trying to subtract, it's going to really line up quite easily to get a kind of a whole number. Okay, so now we're going to subtract. Okay, we're going to subtract the first and the second equation, and when we do so, we're going to have 10x take away x is 9x. You have the equal sign. And of course, if this take away this, obviously 8 here cancel all out. Okay, when you take away, and then it left with 8 here, and 8 take away 0 is 8. And then we have 9x equals to 8, and to get x, we're going to divide both sides by 9. So x is definitely going to be 8/9. So as a single fraction, 0.8 recurring is 8/9. Okay, your next question, we want to write 0.24 with the 2 and the 4 recurring. Okay, so we want to write that into fraction. Now to do this, the first thing we need to do is to say let x be 0.24, but then we have to write it 24 as a recurring decimal. So we have 24, 24, and the list goes on and on. So now because 2 digits here is recurring, what we're going to do, we're going to multiply this expression or this equation by 100. Now I just need to say this. If you have 2 digits recurring, okay, let's say if you have 1 digit recurring, you're going to multiply that equation by 10. But when you have 2 digits recurring, you multiply by 100. In the same way, if you have 3 digits recurring, you multiply by 1000. Now in this case, we have 2 digits recurring, so we have to multiply the equation by 100. And so when we do that, we're going to have 100x. And of course, it's going to be 24.242424. It goes on and on. And then we're going to bring this equation, the first one, we'll bring it down. Okay, that's x. And then line up my decimal point. So you have 0.242424. That's this whole bit. That's this one here. And then we're going to subtract now. Now in subtracting, what we're going to do, 100x take away x. Obviously, that's going to be 9x. And of course, if you subtract this, the whole bit after the decimal point all cancel out. Okay, and then we have over 24. So to get x now, x definitely will be 24/9. And of course, this is okay, but if we want to simplify this, we know that 3 can go into the 8 to the 4 8 times, and 3 can go in 9 3 times. So as a single fraction, the simplest form, 8/3 can be written 0.244 can be written as a fraction as 8/3. In the second one, or rather in the next video, I want us to write 0.78 with a recurring on digit 7 and 8. We'll need to write those fraction decimals rather. recurring decimal into fraction. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do, we're going to say let x be equals to 0.78787878, and the list goes on and on with 7 and 8 recurring. And now because we have the first equation with the 7 and 8 recurring, so what we're going to do, we're going to multiply our very first equation by 10, not necessarily 10, I'm sorry, multiply by 100. And when you do that, there's going to be 100x and also multiply by 100, so you have 78.78.78. That's 78. Okay. And now what we need to do, we're going to subtract, but first we need to bring this first equation underneath to make our subtraction a lot easy to understand. So we're going to bring this whole first equation here. So we have x is equals to 0. Measure line for decimal point 787878, and the list goes on and on. And now we can now draw a line and then do some little some subtraction here. So if we subtract, we have 100x, take away x, that's 1x, that's 99x, and that's equals, and if you subtract this and down, you find this will be 78. And now we can subtract, we can now divide both by 99 to get x, so x will be 78 over 99. Okay, I don't know if this can be simplified, but I think this is the final answer. And so we go to the next question. You're going to write 0.04 with the dot on 7 of 4 is recurring. We're going to write that in a single fraction. So what we're going to do, we're going to say let x be 0.044444, kind of recurring, okay? And because one digit here is recurring, we're going to multiply the first equation by 10. And we do that, we're going to have 10x and then multiply by 10. Then this is going to be 0.44444 recurring. Now what we're going to do next is to bring the first equation underneath. Okay, x is equal to 0.04444 recurring. And now we have these two equations side by side, and we're going to subtract down the column. Okay, so we're going to have 10x minus 1x, that's 9x. And of course, if you subtract down here, you can find that this is going to be 0.4. And then to get x here, we're going to have x is definitely going to be 0.4 over 9. Now, why this is okay, but not really strictly, it doesn't make much sense because it's a fraction and the top is a decimal. So what we need to do, so how can we make the top to be a decimal? Definitely, we can multiply this by 10. Okay, now that makes it 4. 0.4 times 4 is 10. 0.4 times 10 is 0.4 times 10 is 4. Okay, so whatever number we multiply the top, we do the same on the bottom here. And so when we do that, this becomes 4 over 90. Okay, this becomes 4 over 90. So we can simplify this. That will be 2 over 45. That's going to be our final answer, 2 over 45 as a single fraction. In the next example, single decimal, we have this recurring decimal to write a single fraction. So first thing we need to write is we're going to write, let x be 0.0474747, and then it goes on recurring. Okay, so next, because we have two digits here recurring, we're going to multiply the first equation by 100, and that's going to be 100 first, and that will be here, that will be 4.7474747, it goes on. And then we'll bring the first equation underneath here to make the solution a lot easier. So we have 0.0474747, it goes on. And now we can subtract along down the column. We have 100x, take away 1x, that's 99x. And if we subtract, this is going to be 4.7. okay, because all distance is 0. So x will be 4.7 divided by 99. Now, we want to make the top fraction to be a whole number, so we multiply this by 10 and multiply bottom by 10. And when we do that, this can be 47 over 990. So we have another example. We want to write 0.24 recurring in a fraction. So what we're going to do, we're going to say let x be 0.2 with the 4 recurring. It goes on and on. And because 4 is a single digit recurring, we're going to multiply the first equation by 10. And that's going to be 10x is equal to also multiplied by 10. That will be 2.4444 recurring. Now we want to do some subtraction, but to do that, I would like to bring the first equation down here. So you're going to have x is equals, and then that will be 0.2444 recurring. And now we're going to subtract. Okay, we're going to subtract now down the column. 10x minus 1x, that's 9x. And then if you subtract here, that would be 2.2. So we can see that x definitely will be 2.2 divided by 9. And to make this a whole number, the top numerator, multiply by 10, and then here by 10. And that's going to be 22 over 90. And then, of course, if you want to simplify the fraction, this would be 11 over 45. And now we have another example here. We have to write 0.533 with the digit 5, 3, and 3 recurring. I'm going to write that in a fraction. So what we're going to do first, we say let x be 0.533 533 533. Of course, these are the digits recurring, and because 3 digits here is recurring, we're going to multiply the first equation by 1000. So that's going to be multiplied by 1000. That's going to be 1000x, and also multiplied by 1000. That's going to be 533.533 5323 recurring. To make it work a lot easier, I'm going to build the first equation underneath like this. X is equals to 0.533 533. Okay, it goes on and on and on. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to now subtract along the column, and that's going to be 999x. And if you subtract this, this will be 533. And to get x, you divide both by 999, so you have 533 divided by 999. So that's a single fraction. It will be written as 533 over 999. Okay, we take one more example or two more examples. We're going to write 0.0787 with the recorded digits on 7 and 7. That's 787 are the digit recurring. So we're going to write that into a fraction. So again, the first thing we need to do, we're going to write that down in full. So let x be equals to 0.0787. Remember, these are the digit recurrence, 787, 787, and it goes on and on. And because we know we have 3 digit recurring, we're going to multiply the first equation by 1000. Okay, so if you do that, so we're going to have 1000x, and also multiply it by 1000. That'll be 8.7. 787. 787. To make it working a lot easier, when we go to subtract, you take the first equation and bring it underneath. That's going to be x is equals to 0.00787, and the list goes on and on and on and on. So now we can now subtract down the column. That's going to be days from 1000x, take away 1x, that's going to be 999x is equals, and we subtract this to be 78.7. And to get x, you divide both sides by 999. So you have 787 divided by 999. And just to make this the top numerator to be a whole number, we can multiply that by 10. Okay, we can multiply that by 10 and also multiply the bottom by the same. So that's going to be 787 divided by 9,990. Whether this can be simplified, well, you can decide. But as a single fraction, that will be 787 over 9,990.